Hello friends of the channel. This is a story where an engineering student conducts experiments with electromagnets, electricity, magnetism, and electrostatic charger. By combining these elements, a portal opened, through which he was able to access another dimension, where he encountered extraordinary places and people. Please support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Ethan, a third-year engineering student with a penchant for the unconventional, hummed a familiar tune as he meticulously arranged his latest obsession across his lab bench. Wires snaked like curious metallic vines, connecting a formidable power supply to a coil of copper wire he'd meticulously wound himself. This was no ordinary electromagnet. It was a testament to countless late nights, fueled by instant coffee and a burning curiosity about the invisible forces that govern their world. Beside it, a worry electrostatic charger buzzed with latent energy, ready to imbue sheets of acetate and methacrylate with an invisible charge. His current project, a grand unified theory of attraction and repulsion, using everything from the brute force of electromagnetism to the subtle dance of static electricity between overlapping sheets. One blustery evening, the air crackled with more than just the impending storm. Ethan, immersed in his work, had scaled up his usual experiments. The electromagnet, now powered by a high-voltage industrial supply he'd borrowed from a discarded university project, pulsed with an almost audible hum. He'd carefully stacked several large sheets of acetate and each one given a vigorous charge by his electrostatic generator. The idea was to observe the interplay between the strong magnetic field and the intense electrostatic attraction between the charged sheets, hypothesizing that there might be an as yet undiscovered resonance frequency. Suddenly, as he pushed the current through the electromagnet to its absolute limit, and simultaneously brought the highly charged sheets into close proximity, a searing white light erupted from the confluence of the two fields. It wasn't just bright, it was intense, vibrating with a low thrum that reverberated through the very floor. The air grew thick, tasting of ozone and something indescribably metallic. Then, right in the center of the brilliant light, a ripple appeared. Not a ripple in the air, but a distortion, like looking through heat haze, except it was perfectly round and growing. Ethan, initially stunned, found himself drawn forward by an invisible force, his safety goggles slipping from his nose. The ripple solidified, transforming into a swirling vortex of impossible colors, hues he'd never seen before, shifting and blending in a mesmerizing dance. It pulsed, then stabilized, revealing a shimmering, translucent membrane. This was it. A portal? He swallowed, his heart thumping a frantic rhythm against his ribs, against all rational thought, against every instinct for some. He stepped forward, pushing through the shimmering veil. The other side was not what he expected. Instead of a desolate void, he found himself standing on what felt like solid ground. Yet it was comprised of intricate, interlocking crystalline structures that glowed with an internal luminescence. The sky above was a tapestry of swirling nebulae in shades of violet, emerald, and gold, with no sun, moon, or stars visible, yet bathed in a perpetual twilight. Towering, bioluminescent flora pulsed with soft light, casting long, shifting shadows. He took a hesitant step, and the ground beneath his feet hummed faintly. A sound, like distant chimes carried on a gentle breeze, filled the air. This wasn't just another dimension. It was an ecosystem, alive and vibrant. As he explored it, he discovered rivers of liquid light flowing between the crystal formations, teeming with graceful, ethereal creatures that resembled jellyfish made of pure energy. He saw colossal, floating islands drift lazily across the sky, tethered by shimmering tendrils to the luminous ground. Days bled into an indeterminate passage of time in this new dimension, which Ethan later learned was called Eth. He encountered its inhabitants, the Lumina, beings of pure light and consciousness, their forms shifting and flowing like living aurora. They communicated not through spoken words, but through empathic resonance, sharing images, emotions, and concepts directly into his mind. They were fascinated by him, a being of solid matter, and his understanding of linear time and physical laws. The Lumina showed him wonders beyond his wildest imagination. He soared on currents of pure thought above cities carved from living crystal, where structures pulsed with internal light, moving and reshaping themselves to the needs of their inhabitants. He witnessed the dreamweavers, Lumina, who could project shared consciousness into intricate, interactive dreamscapes, allowing them to experience entire lifetimes in what felt like moments. He learned that Ethelgard was powered by a nexus of cosmic energies, a place where the fundamental forces of the universe converged, creating a harmonious and ever-evolving reality. But Ethelgard wasn't without its challenges. He learned of the Shaditas, malevolent entities that sought to consume the light and consciousness of the lumina. These creatures were amorphous, shadowy forms that could manifest from pockets of void, preying on the most vulnerable. Ethan, with his understanding of physical forces, found himself unexpectedly valuable. He discovered that his electromagnet could disrupt the Shadeeder's ethereal forms, causing them to dissipate. His electrostatic charger, when aimed correctly, could create temporary barriers of pure energy, repelling them. He wasn't just an observer, he was a participant in their cosmic struggle. One day, while exploring a particularly ancient and grand crystal library, Ethan stumbled upon an anomaly. A faint, almost imperceptible shimmering in the corner of his vision. It was a portal, far smaller and less stable than the one he'd created, but undeniably a rift. Driven by a sudden, intense pang of homesickness, he asked the Lumina about it. They explained it was a veil tear, a natural, unstable portal that sometimes appeared, briefly connecting their dimension to others, but often collapsing without warning. As he contemplated his return, an unexpected twist occurred. A massive swarm of Shadeeders, larger and more coordinated than any they had encountered, launched a devastating assault on the central nexus of Ethelgard, the very heart of their dimension's power. The Lumina, while powerful, were primarily beings of thought and energy, ill-equipped for direct physical confrontation. Ethan, armed with his makeshift devices, found himself in a desperate battle. He overloaded his electromagnet, creating a powerful, pulsing magnetic field that pushed back waves of Shaditos, but it was a temporary reprieve. He then discharged his electrostatic generator at maximum power, creating bursts of concentrated energy that disintegrated some of the attacking entities. But there were simply too many. He fought alongside the Lumina, guiding them on how to channel their pure light energy into more focused, destructive beams against the shadows. Just as hope seemed to wane, and the nexus began to dim, a low, resonant hum reverberated through the crystal city. From the depths of the shimmering rivers of light emerged colossal, ancient Lumina, forms so vast they dwarfed the crystal towers. These were the ancients, beings of immense power who had slumbered for eons. They surged into the fray, their light blinding, their empathetic screams echoing through the mental space, forcing the Shadeeders to retreat, utterly over. In the aftermath, exhausted but exhilarated, Ethan realized something profound. He wasn't just an engineer, he was a bridge between worlds. The veiled tear, though unstable, was still there, a faint glimmer. The Lumina, grateful for his help, understood his need to return. They didn't know how to stabilize the tear, but they did know how to channel their collective energy. They gathered around the shimmering anomaly, their light intensifying, their thoughts focused on him, on the concept of home. Ethan, standing before the tear, brought out his electrostatic charger and his electromagnet. He knew now that his devices were not just tools, they were conduits, amplifiers of intent. He focused his will, imagining the path back to his lab, the familiar scent of solder and ozone. He activated his electromagnet, pushing power through it, then unleashed a torrent of static electricity from the charger. The veiled tear pulsed, growing brighter, more stable. He could see glimpses of his lab through the swirling colors, his bench, his wires, even a half-eaten sandwich. With a deep breath and a final, empathic farewell to the Lumina, he stepped through. He stumbled back into his lab, the air thick with the smell of burning ozone. The portal behind him flickered, then collapsed into a barely perceptible shimmer, before vanishing entirely. He looked around. Everything was exactly as he'd left it. The half-eaten sandwich, the discarded coffee cup. Had it all been a dream? Then he felt it, a faint, lingering resonance in his mind, a whisper of vibrant colors and ancient light. And in his hand, a small, perfectly formed crystalline shard, pulsing with a gentle, internal luminescence, a gift from the Lumina. It wasn't a dream. He had traversed dimensions, fought alongside beings of light, and played a crucial role in a cosmic struggle. He sat down, overwhelmed, then a slow smile spread across his face. His electromagnet, his electrostatic charger, his simple sheets of acetate and methacrylate. They hadn't just opened a portal. They had opened his mind to a universe far grander, far more mysterious, and far more amazing than he had ever dared to imagine. He knew then that his engineering projects would never be the same. The universe, he realized, was just waiting to be explored, one ingenious experiment at a time. And he, Ethan, was ready to explore it. He looked at the shimmering shard in his hand, a tangible reminder of and wondered what other dimensions awaited his curious mind and his humble, yet powerful, creations. He picked up his notebook, a new kind of engineering problem already forming in his thoughts. How to get back